Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Always a pleasure.
This time, we're going to be talking about Kanye West
Yes.
and Bianca Censori, and we're going to be going a little bit deeper than the headlines.
Yeah, looking beyond the surface.
Yeah, and we've got some really interesting sources for this one.
Absolutely.
We're looking at a recent article from Hot New Hip Hop, and also some X posts that have really been causing a stir online.
Yes, some very buzzy posts that have sparked quite a bit of conversation and controversy.
So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and one of the first things that caught my eye
Oh, yeah.
was this whole thing with this fake X post that was supposedly from Bianca.
Yeah, that was wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this post went viral, and it was supposedly from Bianca expressing, concern for Kanye.
Right, like she was worried about him or something.
Yeah, and people were already kind of, speculating about their relationship, and so this just kind of threw fuel on the fire.
It played right into those existing narratives, right?
Totally, and it just shows you how quickly these things can spread online.
It's like wildfire, especially when it taps into something that people are already kind of thinking about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Censori's representative actually confirmed to us weekly that the post was completely fake,
Oh, wow.
and they're working to get it taken down.
So it was a complete fabrication.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder, like, why would somebody do that?
Right. What's the motivation there?
Are they just trying to stir up drama, or is it something more?
Is it some weird kind of fan fiction playing out?
It's bizarre, right?
It is. It's very strange, but it does highlight the fact that on social media, anybody can pretend to be anybody else.
That's a good point.
And it really underscores the importance of verifying information,
Especially when it's something as sensitive as somebody's well-being,
Absolutely. You don't want to be spreading misinformation, especially about something so personal.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are hard to ignore,
Oh,
we can't avoid talking about Kanye's own X posts, which have been,
provocative.
yeah, let's just say generating a lot of strong reactions.
Yes, they've certainly been stirring the pot.
Yeah, and this is where things get a little bit tricky because, obviously we want to stay neutral here.
Right. We're not here to endorse or condemn anything, just to report on what he said.
Exactly. So in his recent posts, Kanye made some inflammatory statements about the Jewish community and Hitler.
Yeah, that was pretty heavy stuff.
Definitely sparked a lot of controversy and concern.
Understandably so. Those are very sensitive topics.
Yeah, and he also made some comments that sounded a lot like he was trying to assert dominance over Censori.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which led to a lot of discussion online about power dynamics in their relationship.
Right, because it's all playing out so publicly.
Exactly. It's like this constant, microscope on their lives.
It's almost impossible to separate the personal from the public anymore, especially with social media.
Yeah, and nowhere was that more evident than at the 2025 Grammy Awards,
Oh, yes, the Grammys.
where Censori's outfit pretty much broke the internet.
Her outfit was definitely a talking point.
It was, I mean, she definitely made some bold fashion choices.
Some people loved it, some people hated it.
Yeah, there were very strong reactions on both sides.
It definitely got people talking.
Hot New Hip Hop even reported that her appearance sparked an uptick in requests for certain types of plastic surgery.
Wow, really?
Yeah, which is a whole other conversation about body image and celebrity influence. And
It's fascinating how these things become intertwined.
yeah, it's hard to ignore the impact that celebrities have on those kinds of things.
Right, whether it's intentional or not, they're setting trends and influencing people's perceptions.
But of course, Kanye being Kanye,
He wasn't going to stay silent.
he was not silent. He took to X to defend Censori's outfit.
And what did he have to say?
Well, he made some pretty derogatory comments about women who might have a different opinion.
Oh, boy.
Basically suggesting that because she's married to a billionaire,
Yeah.
why would she care what anyone else thinks?
Right, like her status somehow elevates her above criticism.
Yeah. And he doubled down on that during an X live stream.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was claiming that he doesn't respect or empathize with anyone because no one can F with him.
Wow, that's a pretty extreme statement.
It is. It really makes you wonder about his mindset.
It does, his sense of self and how he views himself in relation to others.
So we've got a fake X post, we've got controversial statements, we've got a Grammys outfit that's sparking all kinds of debate.
It's a lot to process.
It's a lot. And what's interesting is that even within Censori's own family, there seem to be different reactions to all of this.
How so?
Well, her mother, Alexandra, declined to comment on her daughter's Grammys appearance when she was approached by the Daily Mail.
So she's staying out of it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes,
Right. Does she support her daughter's choices, or is she maybe having some doubts?
It's hard to know for sure. but it just adds another layer of intrigue to this whole situation.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the reason they were at the Grammys in the first place.
Oh yeah, Kanye was nominated for Best Rap Song.
Exactly. So amidst all this drama, there's still artists, trying to navigate their careers.
Yeah, it's like their personal lives and their professional lives are just completely intertwined.
And it's all playing out on this very public stage.
Yeah, and speaking of public stages, they ended up leaving the Grammys before the ceremony even started.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, there's some conflicting information about why this happened.
Oh, like what?
Some reports suggest that they were asked to leave,
Oh, wow.
while a source told Us Weekly that it was their own choice and could even be a publicity stunt.
A publicity stunt, huh?
Yeah, so it's like, are they trying to control the narrative, or did they just decide to make a dramatic exit?
Kanye does have a flair for the dramatic.
He does. So it wouldn't be entirely out of character.
It's a question worth considering as we delve deeper into their story.
Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. There's so much more to unpack here.
So that brings us up to speed on the latest developments in this whirlwind saga. But where do we go from here?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. I mean, we've seen this pattern of controversial actions and statements,
Yeah.
And it's like we're trying to make sense of it all.
Right.
Is this Kanye being Kanye, or is it some kind of, calculated persona?
Yeah, is it real? Is it fake? Is it somewhere in between?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And it's not just them, right? Like this whole thing kind of speaks to this bigger trend in celebrity culture.
Absolutely, especially with social media now.
It's like this blurring of the lines between public image and private life.
You never know what's authentic anymore.
Right, and it's like how much of it is for the cameras,
And then you've got this whole element of information spreading so quickly online.
Yeah, it's crazy.
1 minute there's a viral post and the next minute it's debunked.
But the damage is already done.
Exactly. So it really highlights the need for critical thinking,
Oh, absolutely. Like, how do we even navigate this world of information overload?
Stuff, right?
It's like we're all amateur detectives trying to piece together this puzzle.
With all these missing pieces and unreliable clues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we do it? How do we become better at thinking critically?
Well, I think the first step is to just be aware of the fact that we all have biases.
Okay.
And those biases influence how we interpret information.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So once we're aware of that, we can start to question our own assumptions.
Okay, so like, don't just take everything at face value.
Exactly. Dig a little deeper look for different perspectives.
And be wary of things that seem too sensational or too good to be true.
Right, because often those things are not true.
Yeah, and it's also about being mindful of our sources. Like, where are we getting our information from?
Absolutely. Not all sources are created equal.
Right, so check the credibility, look for reputable sources.
And be skeptical of anything that seems too biased or one-sided.
So bring it back to Kanye and Bianca. What are some of the key takeaways here?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is the power of representation.
Okay.
Celebrities, whether we like it or not, they have a platform, and their words and actions can have a real impact on their audience.
Especially when those words and actions touch on sensitive topics,
Exactly like we've seen in this case, race, religion, gender dynamics.
And those are things that can really spark important conversations.
And sometimes even challenge harmful stereotypes.
So it's like we can use these headlines as a starting point for deeper discussions.
Exactly, instead of just reacting to the surface level.
Yeah. And another thing that I keep thinking about is the dynamic between Kanye and Bianca.
Right. Is it real? Is it fake?
Yeah. Is there a genuine connection there, or is it all just a performance?
It's hard to know for sure.
It's like we're looking into this fishbowl,
And they're constantly aware of the fact that they're being watched.
Which makes you wonder how much of themselves they're actually able to be.
Right, and how does social media play into all of this?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's like their lives are under a microscope.
Every move they make is analyzed and dissected online.
It's got to be exhausting.
It must be, but it's the reality of being a public figure in this day and age.
So it's like, can we even separate the real Kanye and Bianca from their public personas?
It's a question that philosophers have been grappling with for centuries.
Wow, you're going deep there.
Well, I like to connect the dots.
I appreciate that it helps us see the bigger picture.
But it's important to remember that these are real people with real lives.
Right. We can't get so caught up in the drama that we forget the human element.
Empathy is crucial, especially when dealing with complex and potentially sensitive issues.
Okay, so to bring it back to our listener, what can we learn from all of this?
I think one of the most important things is to be aware of our own biases
Yeah.
and how those biases might be shaping our perceptions.
So like step one is self-awareness.
Exactly. And then from there, we can start to be more critical of the information we consume.
Okay, so don't just blindly accept everything we see and hear.
Right. Question your sources, verify information.
And be wary of anything that seems too good to be true.
Exactly. And lastly, remember, we're all part of this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Our voices matter, and we have a responsibility to use them wisely.
Whether we're sharing our own perspectives or engaging in respectful dialogue with others.
Exactly. Words have power, and we need to use them thoughtfully.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. It's been a great discussion.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with a final thought to ponder.
Given the conflicting narratives surrounding Kanye and Bianca,
The blurring of reality and performance.
how can we truly discern what's real and what's carefully constructed for public consumption?
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It's a question that goes way beyond just this one couple.
Right, it's about how we engage with celebrity culture and social media as a whole.
Exactly. And I think there's a deeper lesson here.
Oh, for sure.
It's about the importance of critical thinking.
Yeah, like we can't just passively consume information anymore.
Right. We have to be active participants in the process.
Questioning, analyzing, forming our own opinions.
This deep dive, it's given you some context, some facts to consider, but it's really just a starting point.
Yeah, it's up to the listener to take it from here.
Do your own research, connect the dots, come to your own conclusions.
And that's what we love about these deep dives.
It's not about telling you what to think,
It's about giving you the tools to think for yourself.
because in this world that's overflowing with information,
Yeah.
the ability to think critically is more valuable than ever.
Couldn't agree more. Well, hey, thanks for diving deep with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring.
And keep the conversation going.
We'll see you next time.